Hi everyone, this is D from Motion Report. I'm here to carry on with my Ursula's Return review for all 204 cards. If you haven't seen the other videos I've done so far, go check them out. So today is all about Ruby Ink. Let's dive right in. So we're going to be starting off with the Hercules card with Hercules Clumsy Kid, his Rush 3 Ink, 3/3 stats, basically a Rafiki but in Ruby Ink. That said though, there's another version of Hercules with also Rush and with Reckless with Hercules Demigod. So he's actually 7 strength and 3 willpower, kind of similar to Maui, just that a bit on a different kind of stats with more strength, which is actually pretty good in a way to go and take out some location cards like the Queen's Castle. That 7 strength is perfect for the 7 willpower the location cards have. The issue about this Hercules is he's an uninkable compared to Maui who's inkable, so that might be an issue for many people who might want to try out this card. The benefit though is for Hera, because we mentioned earlier on in the Emerald Ink video that Hera's ability feels kind of misplaced because he's giving Hercules evasive, but hey, with these Rush Hercules, then it's actually perfect because they want evasive so that they can survive for that one turn, and on the following turn they can just take out another character again. Well, if they manage to survive that very first challenge. Next up, we have Nessus River Guardian, one of the villains that Hades tried to first recruit. So 6 cost with 7/5 stats and 2 law. He's okay as a villain, vanilla, I guess. I'm not too sure that anyone will really use this card because, like I've been saying for a few videos now, vanilla cards is just not really that important right now in the current Disney Lorcana when you have that much better choices. Then we have Pegasus Flying Steed, 2 cost, 3/1 stats with evasive. So this one is nice if you just need to crash into some of the many evasive characters that are in this set of Ursula's Return. So yeah, that's actually pretty nice. That's enough of Hercules card. Moving on to Mulan, we are starting off with Mulan's dad, Fa Zhou. Fa Zhou has the ability War Injury. He can't challenge, but at the same time, the other ability, Exert Ready a chosen character named Mulan, but she can't quest for the turn. So 2 cost, 0/4 stats with 1 law. It's really not fantastic. Honestly speaking, why would you be playing this card over, say, LeFou, when LeFou can basically just ready any character, not just Mulan? And yeah, you have slightly better stats with 2 strength and 2 willpower. Yes, Fa Zhou can survive that bit better, but I might as well at least give him some strength, then he's that bit better. With 0 strength, he's just going to be taken out really easily. Then we have Khan Beloved Steed, Mulan's horse, which is a vanilla 3/2 stats. Kind of wish that they gave him a bit more. Right now, I don't see him really being played. I think that he had a decent role in the movie, and maybe they should just try and give him some other ability. Maybe next time. Then Li Shang's Generous Son is a 1 cost 2/2 vanilla. Not that much to speak of, except that he's a hero. So a lot of people are trying to combo up the Ruby and Steel Ink because of the various interactions for hero cards they actually have. So yeah, if you're going to be playing that exact build, then you'll want cheap hero cards to play with, to spam out with Phil's ability to just let you gain law. Then Li Shang is definitely a card you want to consider for that build. Then Li Shang has another version, another Flatborn with Li Shang Valorous General. So you can shift if you discard a character card, which is not bad, and the ability Lead the Charge. Your characters with 4 strength or more get +1 law. So he kind of excludes himself because he's only at 3 strength. But if you manage to boost him up to 4 strength, which there's many new cards that can increase the strength of your characters, then hey, he could have 2 law, so that's not bad. But the main idea is, of course, you just want to play a whole big bunch of big characters and give all of them with extra law. So that would have been a better play. Then we have Mulan Elite Archer, one of the earliest cards that got shown. Shift 5, she's a Bloodborne, 6 cost, 2/6 stats. I kind of wish she was Shift 4 instead. You have Straight Shooter. When you play this character, if you use Shift to play her, she gets +3 strength this turn. And also Triple Shot, either on turn, whenever this character deals damage to another character in a challenge, do the same amount of damage to up to 2 other chosen characters. A very nice big boss character, kind of similar to Tinkerbell in a way, the Tinkerbell Giant Fairy, but instead of just dealing a fixed 2 damage, Mulan over here can actually deal the amount of damage that she already has dealt to that first character. So you want to just boost up her strength. There are many other cards that you can use for Ruby Ink to actually boost up their strength. I'll be showing some of them later on. So yeah, you can boost up to 5 strength, and she can actually hit one first character with 5 strength. She deals 5 damage, hopefully, and then you can deal another 5 damage to 2 other characters. Actually, one of the really good ways to take out an opponent's character. Then we have Mulan, Enemy of Entanglement. 2 cost, 1/3 stats, and when you play an action card, this character gets +2 strength this turn. So the best combo for this is also with Mulan Elite Archer, because you can use this Mulan's ability to gain extra 2 strength. Then after that, you shift her into Elite Archer. Then she comes in with 2 strength and another +3 strength from Straight Shooter. That's +5 strength. Then you can actually come out hitting with 7 strength. That's pretty much guaranteed to take out most characters. And remember the ability to take out another 2 characters with Mulan Elite Archer. Then yeah, that's kind of the main combo play over here. Kind of expensive, but I would definitely like to see some people try out this deck and see maybe it works out pretty well. Then we have Mulan Injured Soldier. 1 cost, 2/3 stats, with the ability comes into play with 2 damage. So this is definitely a very nice card for the Amber Ruby deck, because now you have Julieta that heals up your characters and lets you draw 1 card. Rapunzel alone was not enough. So yeah, with Julieta, more healing. Mulan plus your Mother Daughter, they're going to be doing damage to themselves in a way. Then you have Julieta and Rapunzel coming in to heal them all up. Really nice card. So yeah, this is something definitely for that deck. Then Imperial Proclamation is a 1 cost ink card. Whenever one of your characters challenges another character, you pay 1 ink less for the next character you play this turn. So this is actually really good, especially if you have a Ruby Ink deck that likes to spam out a lot of characters. For example, to make use of your Shere Khan and Queen of Hearts. Then yeah, you want to have a lot of characters on the board. This is perfect because you're doing a lot of challenging so that you can gain card draw, you can gain lore via Shere Khan, and also your Queen of Hearts ability. Then at the same time, then you get a discount on the ink you need to pay for characters via Imperial Proclamation, and just flutter the home board. I think that's the main play that you want to do over here, especially since Imperial Proclamation is not limited to once per turn. You can just keep on challenging and keep on getting your ink reductions. Then yeah, this is a really nice card, definitely, that a lot of people are talking about. Then Medallion Weights is a 2 cost item card again. Exert, pay to ink, a chosen character gets +2 strength this turn. And whenever they challenge another character this turn, you may draw a card. So like I said, there's a lot of stuff that benefits from having more strength, like that Mulan Elite Archer, cards like that. But that aside, Medallion Weights on its own, actually I feel is a pretty good card as well, because just think about it, your character is going to get +2 strength this turn, and also let you draw a card. And remember that Ruby Ink has tons of ways to let you ready your characters, just that they can't quest for that turn. So like for example, of course, with LeFou. So what you want to do is just use the Medallion Weights on a certain character that can survive a first challenge, use LeFou to ready them, and then you can draw 2 cards actually just by using this Medallion Weights 1. So that's actually a really nice ability. And of course, the best combo is to use this with Scar, because Scar in the right situation, it can actually challenge and take out 3 or 4 characters at one go. And then if you use Medallion Weights on Scar, you can actually just draw 3-4 cards at the same time. So this is definitely a very nice tech card. I think that this one should definitely be considered for your next Ruby deck. And lastly, for Mulan cards, we have Trading Ground Impossible Pillar as a 1 cost location card with 1 move cost, and you have to pay 1 ink to give a chosen character in the location to get +1 strength this turn. And I don't think it's that great. In the Emerald review video, I covered Hidden Code Tranquil Haven, where every single character that's there gets +1 strength and +1 willpower. You don't need to pay any ink at all, you just get it for being there. And that card also has 1 extra willpower. So yeah, that is definitely a much better card to use for location cards. And even then, I said that that card was maybe not something I expect a lot of people to use, because just 1 strength, 1 willpower is just alright. You don't really need Training Ground, especially when it doesn't have any lore anyway. Moving on, we are going on to Raya and the Last Dragon card, starting off with Raya's Old Man, Benja Bo United. 4 cost, 5/3 stats with 1 lore, and vanilla is the exact same as the original Scar we got. I'm not too sure why they want to release the exact same cost, exact same strength, exact same willpower. Yes, I know they have various different classifications that should be considered, but yeah, this is one of those pack fillers that I don't expect anyone to use. Then we have Namari, Hair of Fang. So she has the ability during a turn whenever this character deals damage to another character in a challenge, you may deal the same amount of damage to another chosen character. Basically kind of a simplified version of Mulan Elite Archer. And actually I think that this card is really still a very nice card because at the same time 3 cost 2/3 stats is not that fantastic, but it's much easier to pull off her ability simply because she's a lower cost, and often you just need to just take out one extra character anyway. So with a simple 2 strength, even if you don't boost her, that's basically kind of like giving her Tinkerbell ability to just deal another 2 damage at the same time. Even if she is just gonna crash in that very first challenge, it's fine in my opinion because she's kind of already done her job. Definitely a very nice card to take out against the hyper aggro decks where she's just going to deal 2 damage and at the same time take out another 2. So if you're going to be facing off your Ember Amethyst or maybe even say some kind of Root Emerald Ink deck where there's a lot of Curse Merfolk and all the small weenie cards, then Namari is definitely one card that you want to consider. Then we have Noi Acrobatic Baby, one of the card arts with the most haunting face, and yeah, I just can't get it out of my mind sometimes. It's nuts. Not for me for sure. Its ability, when you play an action, this character takes no damage from challenges this turn. So yeah, this is one of those that I don't like it because it's situational. You need an action or song card, of course, to actually trigger her ability. Otherwise, she's just a vanilla 4 cost with 4/4 stats, which just aren't that great anyway. So yeah, at this consideration, I might as well just play some kind of remover for 4 ink, and there's a lot of nice options for that. So yeah, you don't really need to play Noi anyway. Then we have Raya, Fierce Protector. 3 cost, 3/3 stats. Whenever this character challenges another character, gain 1 law for each other damaged character you have in play. And actually, I think this one could be really nuts in the right situation where you may have just a lot of characters that are all damaged, then you can just swing and maybe gain 3/4 law at one go. The issue is just that it's very situational, and as of now, the only real card we have that damages ourselves is Teeth and Ambitions. Then aside from that, of course, you still have cards like Mulan Injured Soldier and Mother Gotta. These cards come in damage, so yeah, they would work out with Raya well. So maybe this card could be considered for the Ember Ruby deck. That's something to definitely try out, I would think. Then Raya, Guardian of the Dragon Gem. 4 cost 3/3. We have to come together. When you play this character, ready chosen character of yours at a location, and they can't quest for the rest of this turn. Really, there are so many situational cards in this situation. You must ready a chosen character that is already in a location. And yeah, these are the kind of times where I just say, why not just play LeFou? LeFou is perfectly fine. And even for now, LeFou isn't really being used that much anyway. I'll say that Raya, Guardian Last Dragon is a card that you can just put one side for now. Sisu, Daring Visitor. This one is a very interesting one because she's a 3 cost 1/1 stat, which is pretty bad, even though she has evasive. But she has the ability, when you play this character, banish chosen opposing character with 1 strength or less. So this is something really interesting in my opinion, simply because there's actually quite a lot of characters that have 1 strength or less in the situation that you are facing off against Ember Amethyst or the Hyper Aggro or Emerald. There's a lot of like your Curse Merfolk, your Flint Rider. There's actually quite a lot of targets that would work out. And of course, the best target of all is if you are playing against a Sapphire deck, then you can just take out a Hiram Flaversham. That's the best value you can get. So there's a lot of the strong characters in this game, the early cost ones, which actually all have 1 strength or less. So this card, I've seen it being tested around, and I do agree that yes, this one is situational, but the value proposition that it has is actually pretty strong, that I would actually say for Ruby Ink, this is definitely a card to consider taking in a few copies. The only issue is it's an uninkable, so it's kind of a bad card, especially in a late game. Your opponent's not going to have 1 strength or less. So yeah, this one is definitely needs some testing. I would say you can play as a tech card, just put 1 or 2 copies, and you hopefully just draw into it in the first few turns in your initial hand or mulligan into it, then it's decent. But after that, if you draw it later on after say a turn 4 or 5, you don't really want to draw into this card anymore. Then we have Sisu, Emboldened Warrior. Seriously, this is a really nice card in my opinion because she's a 3 cost with 1/4 stats and 2 law, but she gets 1 strength for each card in the opponent hand. So especially if you are playing against against, say, a Sapphire Ruby Ink, where they just have tons of cards in their hand from all the Popsicles and the Hiram Flaversham and the Tamatoa and all that stuff, then yeah, they're gonna have a lot of cards in their hand. Or of course you're playing against Steel, where they already do a whole new world and they're gonna have more cards in their hand, then this Sisu is just gonna have a ton of strength. So it's, if it has a ton of strength, at the very least it's gonna be able to trade off against many other cards. And this Sisu also has 4 willpower, and this Sisu also has 2 laws. So many fantastic stuff, even though when in play she's basically an vanilla, but yeah, I think that she's able to just counter take out many other cards that I think that she can really be actually pretty good. So yeah, this is definitely one card I think that definitely should be considered for Ruby Ink to go and try out. Next, you have Sisu Empowered Sibling. So this is a 8-cost shift 6, and when you play this character, banish all opposing characters with 2 strength or less. Definitely just reminds me of Under the Sea, because Under the Sea is an 8-cost song card that can get rid of all the opposing characters with 2 strength or less. This is Sisu that just outright banishes all the opposing characters with 2 strength or less. Of course, the key difference over there is Under the Sea can be played much earlier, but like I said, with Under the Sea, I feel that these sync together cards are very situational, so it's much harder to pull them out. Sisu over here is in a sense kind of similar when you're reaching the late game, when you can shift into her earliest in shift 6, then by then your opponent might not have that many 2 strength or less characters in play already, or otherwise you'll probably be in big trouble by then if you're playing it that late. So yeah, with that in mind, I think that this card is actually really not that good a card as a legendary. I'll much rather try out Under the Sea compared to Sisu over here. Then we have Tuk Tuk Lively Partner, 3 cost 2, 3 evasive, and on the roll. When you play this character, you remove him and one of your other characters to the same location for free, and the other character gets +2 strength this turn. And I think that this one is a really nice card if you are playing locations, which at the moment, well, there was a lot of hype for location cards into the England, where people were talking about trying out Jim Hawkins and all that kind of stuff. But moving on later in the meta, well, that build didn't really work out, so maybe it can work out better now with Tuk Tuk. I don't know, because I feel that card gives you a lot of value, especially if you're playing locations, but that's the thing, you need to play a good location that's worthwhile to move your characters in, and you need Tuk Tuk to come in and just help to move the location for free. But if you're playing a location card that costs a lot to move in anyway, then is it really that worth it? Because you might not draw in the Tuk Tuk to move it in for free, and then the location card just can't do much because you can't really pay the move cost. Then yeah, that's a consideration. That said though, many Ruby Ink decks already comes in with lots of ink in their Inkwell because they are paired up with your Sapphire and with your Amethyst to just get a lot of resources. Then yeah, you don't really need this kind of abilities anyway. And the consideration is, this one needs to be checked for ruling whether you are able to just give that character +2 strength, which I don't think so, because if you can't move the character into that same location, then maybe it's not considered as the other character, so therefore you can't let it gain +2 strength. So yeah, if that's the case, then Tuk Tuk is not very good. This one has to wait for rulings. I'm not 100% sure on this one, but yeah, at the moment, I don't think this is that useful a card. Moving on to the final team for Tangled, we're gonna start off with Flynn Rider Frenemy. 2 cost, 2 stats, 1 law, and at the start of your turn, if you have a character in play with more strength than each opposing character, gain 3 law, which I think that this is definitely a very nice one, because there's a lot of cards in Ruby Ink that actually has a lot of strength. And at the same time, if you are going to be playing against, again, the hyper aggro, then they just don't have that much strength for their characters, because their aim is to just flood a lot of small characters and just gain law. And 3 law a turn is actually really a lot. The only issue is that this is one of those cards that it works out well against some specific decks. If you're playing against Emerald, you're playing against an Amber Amethyst, then yeah, Flynn Rider could definitely gain you a lot of law really fast. But aside from facing off those decks, if you are facing against a more, say, meta-ish with your Sapphire, Ruby, and all that kind of stuff, then they might often have higher strength characters as well. Then that would be a concern. But I do think that there's some potential there. Even when I'm talking about this right now with Sapphire, Ruby, very often they don't have much characters to play for the first couple of turns, and they only have like a Hiram Flaversham on turn 4. So yeah, Flynn Rider could actually just gain you a lot of lore really quickly. So this is definitely a card that I think that should be considered. Then we have Tong Survivor, 4 cores, 3/6 stats, and Reckless. And that means, in my opinion, is, well, it's alright because Tong can survive very long. The stat line reminds me exactly of Megara, just that that's a much better card. Tong over here is uninkable, so that might be a concern, but it is actually nice to have a character that just is able to survive for very long and just can keep on hitting and taking out opponent characters. So yeah, Tong, I would say, is an interesting card, but maybe not really needed for the current various builds for the Ruby deck. If you're playing the sheer current Queen of Hearts build, where you just want to do a lot of challenges every turn, then yeah, Tong may be a better fit for that. Then we have Brawl. It's a 3-cost action card with the ability Banish chosen character with 2 strength or less. And I actually kind of think this card is pretty good in a way that it just outright clears it and there's actually no fuss at all. You can just get rid of the character really easily. I think that this is actually not bad against the right deck. I'll say this depends on the build. If you are playing, say, Ruby Steel, where you already have tons of removal options in Steel Ink, then yeah, you don't really need Brawl. There are much better Steel removal cards. But if you're playing a Ink that doesn't really have removal options early game, especially, for example, you're playing Ruby Sapphire, then yeah, maybe Brawl is actually a pretty decent card to just hold off on the hyper aggro. I kind of feel like this Ursula's Return so far has a lot of ways to control the hyper aggro decks, then you should definitely play them. And if you're playing a hyper aggro deck so far, you should definitely kind of rein in on the aggression a bit and consider what your deck is like, because there's so many cards in the various inks that are all targeting 2 strength or less that you should definitely be a bit more wary of. And last Tangled card, we are Snuggly Duckling Disreputable Pup. So it's a 2 cost with move cost 2 with 9 willpower, which is really strong. But the ability, whenever a character with 3 strength or more challenges another character while here, gain 1 lore. And if the challenging character has 6 strength or more, gain 3 lore instead. And yeah, this is one of the best ways to actually say move your Maui in. Maui already has 6 strength, so moving your Maui and just challenge, and you can just gain 3 lore at one go. And that is really quite a lot. 3 lore is quite a lot of lore to gain in one go. And this is not even restricted to once per turn. You have multiple characters in here, then you can just keep on gaining lore really fast. Of course, then this is up to the opponent to consider if they should actually be questing or challenging, because they'll leave their characters exerted. So yeah, this is a card to consider, but it has a very specialized strategy needed for it in a way to use it. Because in a typical deck build, you don't really have that many characters that have 6 strength or more. So yeah, this is something that you will need to consider when building the deck. Then starting off with the first of the unteamed cards, we have Beast Wounded, 3-cost character, 2/6, but he comes into play with 4 damage, which I don't think his stats is that great, because at 3 cost, if you are unable to heal him up, he's only 2/2 with 2 lore, which is pretty subpar. I kind of wish he had at least 3 strength, because with 3 cost and 3 strength, then he's able to kind of take out other stuff. And not to mention, I just mentioned earlier on, there's so many cards now that can easily take out 2 strength or less. So 2 strength or less after Ursula's Return is kind of going to be a liability. The worst case scenario that will happen is you're going to heal him up. Yeah, sure, maybe you're going to draw some cards, but after that, your opponent is just going to just get rid of him, either return him to hand or return him to the deck and all that kind of stuff. Then Beast Wounded isn't that great. So yeah, there's a lot of effort, which I'm not too sure is that worth it. I'll much rather just stick to Mulan and Mother Gothel if I were playing the Amber Ruby deck. Then we have Goofy Super Goof, which is probably one of the best cards for Ruby Ink for this set, because 4 cost 2 for stat, but he has Rush, and also whenever he challenges another character, gain 2 lore, which this kind of reminds me of Merlin Goat in a way, because Merlin Goat, when he comes into play, he gains 1 lore. Of course, when he returns or leaves play, he gains another lore. So there's some recurring ability kind of there, but Goofy Super Goof kind of is the same, because he's going to come in, and assuming there's a character ready for Goofy to challenge, even if he's not going to succeed, even if he's just going to crash and hit the wall and he's going to get banished in the challenge, he's going to gain you 2 lore right away. So that is quite often a game-winning move. 2 lore is really a lot to gain at one go very fast, and at the same time, he actually has a nice amount of willpower. If he survives that challenge, then maybe he can just go for another challenge on the following turn. This is the best card and should definitely be included in pretty much every single Ruby Ink deck, in my opinion, for this set. Next, you have Lumiere, Fiery Friend, where all your other characters get +1 strength. At first glance, that might not look like the most useful ability because at 2 costs with 2/2 stats, then he's not gonna benefit from it. So his strength willpower is just kind of basic. But that being said, with all your other characters gaining +1 strength, that can actually be very useful because again, there's just so many cards now out there that are specially targeting 2 strength or less and kind of taking them all out. So if you're playing Lumiere, you can actually boost up your characters to have more than 2 strength, hopefully. Then all of them will not be susceptible to stuff like your Under the Sea or your Kick Cloud Kicker and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, this is the way that you should actually consider for Lumiere. Not to mention that if you're having a 3 strength character and you play Lumiere, that will get your other character out of the Madame Medusa range. So these are stuff to definitely consider, though this is kind of more of a meta play in a way. You need to see what's going on in the meta before you decide that whether Lumiere is a card to consider to tag into your deck. After all, no matter what, he is also an inkable. If you are not going to be facing off one of those decks that has a lot of take out 2 strength or lesser kind of things, then yeah, just ink him. Then there's no issue there. Next, we have a Pirate's Life. So as a Pirate's Life for me is a Sing Together ability and each opponent loses 2 lore and you gain 2 lore. Okay, this is in a way kind of like a burn deck sort of, but the 4 lore difference is pretty huge. I think that this is nice, especially since a lot of people were playing Aladdin back in the day, and you should know what I mean, where Aladdin Heroic Outlaw coming in can really just push you away from the game with the amount of lore you lost. That said, Aladdin Heroic Outlaw is an ability that just keeps on going, working for you as long as Aladdin stay alive. This is just a one-time off-play thing, so maybe it's not that useful in my opinion, even though it's one of the cheapest Sing Together cards. But yeah, I think that that's the issue that with the Sing Together cards, in my opinion, that the lower, cheaper ones, and especially inkable ones, the value is just not that fantastic, while the higher cost ones are all uninkable and that much more situational. Then we have Be King Undisputed, where for cost song card and each opponent chooses and banishes one of their characters. So in a way, Lady Tremaine as a song card, which can be really nice because Lady Tremaine, one of the issues is she's coming in on turn 6, and at that time when many players were expecting Lady Tremaine, what they would just do is just play extra characters on the board so that they'll get rid of the lowest cost one. But Be King Undisputed as a song card can actually be quite a surprise factor, and you could actually easily clear out the whole board in the right situation. The issue, of course, is uninkable, but I think that the value is sufficient to definitely consider playing Be King Undisputed. Because if you just have the right situation to just challenge and clear out all the other stuff, yes, they have their stronger character that's still just freshly played from the previous turn, so it's not even exerted at all. That's a situation where you just use Be King Undisputed to just outright clear out the board. So this is actually pretty useful and is pretty cheap in the sense because of it being a song card. So yeah, definitely something that would be considered. Then we have the Plank. This is a 3-cost item card with the ability that you need to pay 2 ink and banish this card to choose one ability. So in essence, needing 5 ink to use the abilities. 1, banish a chosen hero character, or 2, ready a chosen villain character and they can't quest for the rest of this turn. Now, of course, the ready chosen villain character is not the greatest ability, but this is optional, so this is not bad. Instead, there's the better ability to banish a chosen hero character. So against the right deck, this could be not bad, especially with a lot of hero decks that could be appearing with the emergence of cards like Phil that just lets all your hero characters gain you lore when you play those characters. But of course, I don't like uninkable cards, so this is a situational uninkable card, which for me, in my opinion, is just not that great. Not to mention that if it's just gonna cost you 5 anyway as an uninkable card, why not just play, say, Dragonfire? There's always that option for Ruby Ink either way. Then finally, the last card, we have Vitality Sphere. This is a 1-cost item card with the ability pay 1 ink and banish this item to give a chosen character Rush and +2 strength this turn, which I think is a really nice ability, especially to use with your Namaari and use with your Mulan Elite Archer, because these are the characters, remember that I mentioned earlier on, that they could actually deal more damage to another character if they deal amount of strength to a character that they challenge. So yeah, you could actually just combo these up to just deal a lot of damage, and they have rush, so there's the surprise factor there. I think Vitality Sphere is definitely a really nice card. If you're playing Namaari or Mulan, you're testing them out as a way to just take out your opponent's cards, then Vitality Sphere is definitely for you. And even you're not playing these two characters, I do think that gaining just rush and strength alone for 2 ink is actually a pretty good proposition to definitely add into your deck. There's just a lot of ways to get value out of this that I think makes it very worthwhile. And those are my thoughts for all 34 Ruby Ink cards for Ursula's Return. So just to do a quick recap, some of the best cards I think for this set are Goofy Super Goof for sure. He has Rush and he can challenge to just gain you 2 law, so that's really good. It's on the level of Merlin Goat, honestly. You have Sisu, so even though her ability is just to take out 1 strength or lesser, there's actually a good amount of them if you look around. So that is a card to definitely consider depending on the meta. We also have B King Undisputed, though it's a card that lets your opponent choose which character to banish, but it's a song card. There's the surprise factor over there. They can play pretty early, so I think it's a good way to let you gain control of the board. Imperial Proclamation, definitely a card for the Ruby Inks that likes to zoom out and just flood the field with your Shere Khan, your Queen of Hearts build. Then yeah, Imperial Proclamation will get all your characters out really cheap and just reduce a lot of ink cost. Medallion Weights and Vitality Sphere, these are the last 2 item cards, which are also both really good, giving you extra card draw or giving you rush plus extra strength. These are all great abilities to definitely consider, especially if you're playing cards like Namaari, because Namaari can actually help you clear out multiple characters against the right deck. Well, that's not forgetting Mulan, but Namaari is much cheaper. So yeah, Namaari is definitely a card you should consider as well. So those are my thoughts on all the various Ruby Ink cards that you got for the Ursula's Return. Which are the ones that are really good? Do you agree with my thoughts? Let me know in the comments below. And that's about it. Thank you everyone for watching. I'll see you in the next video. This is D7 from Mushu Report, signing out.